I rewatched it, I wasn't watching every single second of this because I know I'd watched it before.
Had you carried on with it?
No, I'd made the decision that because it was Netflix, it wasn't going anywhere kind of thing. I didn't at the time think it was better than the stuff that was on television that I was watching.
It's sort of based around a family. They are called the... Anyone?
Why don't we know this? Why don't we know it?
Rayburns. The Rayburn
Thank
family.
you, the Rayburns. Thank you.
The parents run a guest house in Florida. And it's set around, this first episode set around a weekend celebrating, I think it's 45 years, their anniversary of running this guest house. 4 kids, 3 sons and a daughter. Their eldest son is the sort of the black sheep, isn't it?
Yeah, but the eldest son looks as old as the dad, which really threw me.
Ben Mendelsohn, I think, for me, is one of the best actors working today. He's got such a screen presence about him. He's an Australian actor. I saw him first in a film called Animal Kingdom, which I won't stop raving about because it is an amazing film, an Australian film. He also played Jack O'Connell's dad in a film called Starred Up, a British film. Most famously, probably, though, people will know him for The Dark Knight Rises. I think that's probably his most famous role. He's also done films called Killing Them Softly and Mississippi Grind, all worth checking out. Here he plays Danny Rayburn, I think his name was. The sort of black sheep who is the only one who doesn't live near the family, I believe. He's the only one. Yes. All the others live.
He's the only one who's kind of lost touch.
He's kind of lost touch. They see him at the holidays and stuff like that. And basically, then you get the sort of flashbacks to John. Basically, initially, you think he's trying to save Danny, who's been almost drowned or something like that. I don't know how you would describe the rest of the plot, really.
No.
Very much family drama, the family...
A bit like sort of brothers and sisters and things like that. What was your comparison, Gary? Go on.
The show, Brothers and Sisters, because that...
that's ruined.
That wasn't mine, sorry.
The main kind of interest in this one, I think, is, as you say, that twist at the end when you realise that they've killed the older brother. I think Carl Chandler is really good in this, but obviously, if anyone who's seen Friday Night Lights and that episode of... He was in a very famous early episode of...
Come on, Gary.
Not that famous.
Ellen Pompeo...
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy.
Thank you.
He was in a very famous episode of Grey's Anatomy where he died. Yeah,
he was actually in 4 episodes of Grey's Anatomy, according to
But in the last one he was in, he died.
Yeah. So the setting was amazing, particularly in the scene where he goes out on one of those riverboats.
Although that made me feel sick.
My comparison, actually, and it would be an odd one, but this is mainly in terms of the sort of the story structure and the setting, is The Affair. It just sort of...
Thank you, Matthew. Because I kept thinking this feels very much like something.
Right, I can see that.
And it was The Affair.
I think it's the beach setting and in The Affair she was...
the flicking back and forth between the scenes where he's pulling his body out of the water and stuff like that.
We speak about this a lot. How long do you give a you just spoke about nothing grabbing you. How long do you give something, or how many episodes should you give it to breathe? Because there were bits of this episode that I was like, yeah, I like this. This is good. I like this bit. I like them. And then there were, nothing's really.
I have to say, I lost interest around the 3/4 way mark. I think once everyone had got together, then it was just a lot of arguments about Danny. Why is Danny getting his own way? He wants to come back. No, let's not let him come back. But I like Danny.
My favourite scene of the whole thing, because I felt there was genuine tension there, and I wanted to know where it was going, was the scene where they all give speeches at the party, and the dad's giving speech and talking about each one of the kids, and then Danny stands up and gives his speech and gets a bit of a laugh, and I thought, there's obviously real tension there, and I wonder what that... And then from there, I sort of found myself drifting in and out, trying to care.
I was exactly the same, Luke.
There was part of me, not immediately after it finished, but subsequently, that I did think, I wonder where it goes, because people do say it's brilliant, but a lot of people say that about Netflix stuff that I haven't liked.
That's where I got stuck the first time, was, well, where is this going to go? They obviously wanted you to have that little, sort of moment at the end where do they kill him, do they not? But that wasn't enough to grab me.
But I also hate shows where nothing really happens, but they keep teasing something that's going to happen later.
At least they didn't do it right at the beginning, though, Luke. They sort of kept it to the middle.
That would have been annoying. No real characters to really latch onto.
No,
at least
I mean, I think
one.
Danny's a good character, but he's not someone that you can sympathise with. He's not a sympathetic character. I think he's a well-drawn sort of antagonist character. And as I say, I think Ben Mendelsohn, I just can't praise him enough. He's the best thing about this for me. A lot of people sort of binge on these Netflix shows, but there wasn't anything to make me want to binge on it going further. I think there's the... Should we move on to Peaky Blinders?
Yes.
Oh, Luke, what was the result of the poll?
Oh, the poll. I asked, for tonight's podcast, we watched 2 shows we've never reviewed or seen. Which of the 2 do you imagine I preferred? 56% said they thought I would prefer Bloodline. Peaky. I didn't get that wrong, and I'm looking at it right now. 56% said they thought I'd prefer Peaky Blinders to 44 who said Bloodline.
And
so
what's the actual results?
Well, let's talk about them, and we'll get there.
Peaky Blinders. Do we need a sort of preamble
on this?
I think
it's
everyone
third
knows
series.
what Peaky Blinders is, and
we really need
Gary's seen it now, and he might not know.
They watched it on Gogglebox this week.
They did, and oddly, I hadn't seen this first episode when I watched it, and I did find myself drawn in by the scene they picked on Gogglebox.
Mr. Moffat, who went, why haven't we watched this before?
Why haven't we seen this before?
This is bloody canny-like.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said at the time.
Sorry to everyone from Newcastle upon Tyne.
We kind of know what Matt feels.
Actually, though, I think when I first saw the first episode, listening back to myself, I enjoyed it more than subsequent episodes than I've seen. So
wow.
I'm surprised I never.
You in the past.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised when I listened back and you said, "Oh yeah, I'll watch it."
I liked the show. There were a couple of things that annoyed me. The music annoyed me. I thought the music...
I said the exact same thing. I said that in my original review.
Completely inappropriate for the style and the theme of the show. I think the thing that you get is how good Cillian Murphy is. He is the lead. He is the focal point of the series. Everything kind of rotates around him.
Although I think the best performance is Helen McCrory, personally.
Yes, brilliant.
Paul.
He's very good, but I think Cillian Murphy is supposed to be.
He's very captivating. He is a very captivating. You can understand why these people would follow him.
You get a very clear division of lines. So there's what you get this Peaky Blinders group. You've got the factory where everybody works, and the communists.
Communism, yeah.
That's right, that run it. And the interesting thing is how much they deal with. This is set in 1912. When is
1919.
1919. So this is really close to the end of the First World. After the end of the First War.
Because the communist guy and Tommy fought together, didn't they? Or something
That's
like
right.
That?
Yeah, and he was one of the things that you get is that Cillian Murphy's character was a sergeant major, so he was a leader in the army. He wasn't just a foot soldier. He was a leader. I really believed him as a character, and I really believed that he murdered that guy at the end. I really thought he was dead.
Brilliant.
I really thought he executed him.
Had you actually seen any of this before? Had you watched any episodes?
Me? I had seen probably half, sort of the first half of one.
And why didn't you...
But wasn't really... I don't think I was really paying attention. I don't think... And to be honest, I was midway through it again and thinking, I don't know. And then when the Irish girl comes in, the singer in the bar... And the dynamic sort of changes. I thought, no, this is really good. By the end...
He's an undercover cop.
But I have to say, 53% now it is say that I would prefer Peaky Blinders. I really, really did.
Mm.
Yeah,
I will watch this again.
I think out of the two...
I don't think... I don't know. I mean, I've seen I think maybe sort of... I've got other knowledge because I have watched the more recent... The first episode of Season 3. Gary said the music was one thing that put me off. The other thing was the constant sort of use of slow-mo throughout the episode.
They're obviously going for style over... They're going for...
And I think the sort of use of this style almost takes you out of believing in the sort of... Right. This is what happened in the time period. It's almost... I sort of made it akin to like a comic book film. That's what it feels like to me. The colour is a bit off from everything else.
Yes.
The way... The music, the modern music, the camera shot. I think there are bits in each in the episode of season
You can do whichever you want.
The one that's on at the moment, that one. There was a great bit because it was Tommy's wedding, and Arthur had to give a speech. And I think the entire bit with Arthur's speech was brilliantly done. But I just think when it descends into the violence, and I think people expect the violence from it now, that sort of really rough and ready violence, and it sort of almost feels disconnected from it. And
Is it sort of fulfilling its own prophecy now, becoming the show people think it is?
And there's a weird plot now where, like, Winston Churchill is a character and wants to use...
He's in the pilot.
He's in this first episode,
but he now wants to use Tommy for something, and it's like, as you say, Cillian Murphy's brilliant. Helen McCrory is just absolutely like this sort of ballsy matriarch character. I don't know, I won't probably carry on with either.
There's a room... And they say, if you go in this room, there's nothing else on the telly, just football. Go in this room, you can finish Bloodline. Go in that room, you can catch up on Peaky Blinders. Which one would you do, Matt?
Probably, if I hadn't seen any other Peaky Blinders other than the first one, it might be Peaky Blinders. I've seen the first episode of each series. I think I'd probably be more inclined to see Bloodline just based on that.
Do you think also with Peaky Blinders, because you've dipped in and out... and not done it in one big line like is the way it's supposed to be done, that maybe your views
maybe. And I have watched as well the thing the BBC did where they put like what's happened in the first two series. You know, they've started doing that now with like they did Line of Duty and Happy Valley and things like that. So I did do that, so I had some context to watch the third one. Of the two, I think Peaky Blinders had the stronger first episode. I think it lures people in more and gives you more of an idea of what this is about. It sets it sort of its cards on the table, if you will. At the time as well, we were busy watching Educating Yorkshire, which was on the same time on a Thursday night. And also, as I've listened back to that podcast, also The Guilty was on. And
I know which one I wish I'd have seen.
And if you were wondering what you were watching, Gary, you were watching Bates Motel.
Gosh, never did.
Gary,
sorry, yes.
Same scenario to you then. Which room do you go in? Bloodline room, Peaky Blinders room?
Peaky Blinders, I think. I think the show just had a little bit more that grabbed me than Bloodline. And I think, as Matt said, you know, when you watch a series that you don't know that much about or that you go back to, you're looking for that hook. As you said, the violence draws you in because, you know, it really does make you think something major is going to happen.
So do you envisage, I know Matt's answer to this, but do you envisage Gary going into the Peaky Blinders room?
Yeah, I think I will. As you mentioned, there's going to be a whole lot of sport. I will be watching it. There's no denying that. But even, you know, when England regrettably go out of the European Championships at the group stages, then I'll need something to drown my sorrows in. If we do this again, where we pick two shows, obviously, I just want to put a call out to the viewers. If there are any shows out there that you think
who's watching this?
Because I really should put some clothes on if people are.
Nude again, are you?
It's the way I feel most
free. Are you periscoping again, Gary?
No, I'm not. No,
no, it's just the way he's looking at you.
If you think there are shows out there that we've ignored that you love, then do get in contact with us on the Twitter later.
Unless any of those are Britain's
or post it on the
Facebook
model. Or... We'd love to hear from you. There you are. That's my little reach out moment.
There you go.
Okay.
Have you told your friends about this podcast?
Okay, here we go.
No?
It's just not my idea of a good time.
Tell them now.
That's what the people want to hear.
This is the Custard TV Podcast.
Good to the last drop.
From thecustardtv.com.
Fun. It's Britain's Got Talent.
I've forgotten all about this already.
Britain's Got Talent bowed out with its lowest audience for a final in the show's 10-year history.
Although
I can imagine why, because those semi-finals were so dire. Those audition shows are so loved in a way is because they're so well edited, and when you don't have that editing, when you're having to sit and watch these acts live, it's a bit dull. It's not going at a quite a steady, quite a good pace for most of that. No.
And
there's
also,
always music. There's always flicking past. You rarely get times where you concentrate on one act.
They shot themselves in the foot a lot of the times because there were acts on some shows that weren't worthy of getting through at all, and there were like 4 acts on another one that you could have seen getting through. So
and I think they got rid of some of the good acts. I really like that the Mimic Men, and I know that would have meant there was 3 impressionist acts on, but then there was how many singing children does one person need to see in a week?
Yeah, I know.
And I didn't rate that. Was it Wayne Woodward who came second?
No, at all. How did he come second?
To me now, it's personality first and ability second.